So what we're going to do is just have a meditation, and then we're going to hand over to Kirby. So I'm just going to pray, and then we're just going to spend 5 minutes just setting our hearts and our minds on the realm of the Father's heart, just so that as Kirby speaks, whatever it is that God's put on his heart to take us into, we're all in synergy together, and we're all in that place where we can be open to have our minds renewed and expanded in Yahweh. So Father, I just thank you for tonight. Lord, we just thank you for Kirby. Lord, we thank you for Graham. We thank you for the mandates, Lord, and assignments you've given them. And Father, I thank you for every beautiful heart on this call tonight. We just say that we love you, and we just come into that frequency now of your heart where we're tuned into it. I thank you that we're already there, but we just choose to set our minds and our hearts on things above right now. Thank you, Lord. And Father, I just ask, Lord, that you just would open up new things for us all tonight, that we would go deeper, Lord, and that you decrease our consciousness, our Christ consciousness in all that we're doing. Lord, I just thank you for everything that you're doing in each of our lives, Lord, as we engage you through our creativity, through our worship, through bringing things from the unseen realm into the seen realm. Thank you, Yahweh. Go for it, Rob.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob. I love that meditation because it just brings you into that place of shalom. It brings you into that place where your heart and your mind become in synergy, and it just creates this atmosphere where we can just really together be in this oneness where we can just really enjoy everything that Yahweh has for us through what Kirby's going to bring and Graham in this session. So I'm going to hand over now to Tanya to introduce Kirby as she's part of the WOWLife community.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so some of you guys might know this and some of you might not know this, but Kirby actually has a background in graphic design. And I was saying earlier that I often see how his creativity comes out in how he leads the body, and how he can actually bring others into a creative experiment and allowing them into the state of flow creatively. And what that allows us is to not get so stuck in legalism. And I love that about him. Kirby also completed a Master of Science degree program at the King's College London, that combines psychology, neuroscience, the study of mental health, the brain, and behavior. And this leading him, and I know that he's going to speak on this a little bit tonight, leading into the development of conscious IQ theory. I'll post the link to the website for you guys in the chat here in a minute, so you guys can follow. It's really awesome just to go through it. And this too also shows off his creative background, his creative spirit to come up with this amazing theory. Kirby is fiercely loyal, and he always brags on his people like a father over his children. He's
Oh.
often so proud of WOWLife Church and the people in WOWLife. And not just what Kirby and Fiona has accomplished through WOWLife, but what the people accomplish through their growth and their understanding by the word. He's really passionate about the word. He's passionate about reformation and the body, teaching on conscience, and seeing others to come to their fullest potential. I can really go on and on about Kirby, but it's an honor for me to call him mentor, to call him friend. So, Kirby, thank you for speaking to the artists today at this collective creative voice. And we appreciate that you answered the call to the body.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tanya, for that fantastic introduction. And thank you, everyone. Rachel, what an honor to have you. I didn't know you were going to be here. And Janine, appreciate Rob. I don't know who hosts this, but I believe it's Janine and Rob. Truly appreciate you guys hosting a space that creative mystics and Christians can come together like this and share what God is doing through them, because that's really isn't it's God's essence, isn't it? He's the creator, right? So for us to be able to express ourselves like this is really phenomenal. So thank you for the invite. I'm really humbled to be here and talk of things that I probably would never ever talk about on a normal day, for sure. For instance, Tanya said about my background in the arts. That's I think very few people know about it. But let me go back there. I mean, I've worn so many hats in my lifetime. So one of those at one point it was arts really, and I was in London actually. I was at Reading College of Art and Design, so they call it the Berkshire College of Art and Design, and my foundation was in art and design and fashion. So that's where I got my national diploma, and from there went on to become a graphic designer. And so I actually developed syllabuses for art and design. I don't think Tanya knows this. In Sri Lanka's top art and design academies and all the universities, even the main university here, the art and design syllabus was sort of developed by me.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we did a lot of work with showcasing our work in galleries here, design work. Some of the biggest ministries, like when you say ministries here, we spoke about government buildings. Actually, have some of our work that we used to do, but it was one of those hats. I've forgotten I've forgotten. And people actually
Yeah.
ask, Kabir, do you get, don't you want to do work again? You know, because they're
Mm.
very large installations. You know, I like
Mm.
big installations, very colorful,
Wow.
Okay.
and the fact of the matter is I don't miss it. And they ask me like, but don't you miss being an artist and all this? And I know, Tanya, this might be blasphemy to you, but yeah. Uh, but actually, I was able to sort of alchemize it, like you
Mm.
rightfully discerned. That was good, very good judgment, Tanya. That's why you had the WOWLife prophetic team. So that was good. You pulled from a long time ago. Yeah. So what happened was, uh, uh, I kind of alchemized that. You know, I alchemized it when I started really coming into to Christ fully.
Mm,
My creativity just shifted uh,
mm,
to science and wonders. I love science and wonders, and
mm.
if you have any kind of background to me, you'll realize I like science and wonders. Also like to prophesy, and
Mm.
if you look at the way I do it, it's very creative. I have to have chaos,
Yeah.
bring it into some sort of to present it, and
Mm.
so it's for me the way I prophesy and the way I really get information from the Lord and then present it with the audience. Say someone's name is this, and then this person is, the exact name is somewhere here. It's just pattern recognition, and people don't really realize it, and that's
Mm.
something I just developed in my creativity, to recognize
Mm.
patterns
Mm.
and uh, and then now use it to minister. And so I don't think I'm doing anything different, really. It's just the
Mm.
expression the expression is different, right?
Mm.
And yeah, so that's what I'm doing even with work and business and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, we Fiona herself is very creative. She ran a graphic design, one of probably Sri Lanka's foremost graphic design labs here in Sri Lanka, and then she actually gave it away when she came into ministry. She gave it to someone to run it, which is still very successful and running here. So we teamed up, and so that's
Mm.
what our ministry is. We love excellence. We love creativity. We love to have the vibe going.
Mhm.
Is,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, which is yeah, and that's what brings the energy to the room. So we actually doing right now. I think some of you know we are building a. I was with Victoria Ayad in her installation. Victoria, I don't know how many of you know Victoria. I don't know if she's on here even. Victoria is a part of WOW. She's a tremendous artist, dancer, and she hosts installations that actually can have in California that are installations, but it's also an experience. And I was actually there in California recently, wanting to bring that whole installation to Sri Lanka because we're setting up our building here, our WOWLife building. And I actually wanted the building to, before you get into the room, I wanted Victoria Ayad's that installation. It's a neuroscience informed installation with lights and screens. And
Mhm.
I saw Selena here. Yeah, Selena, there you go. Yeah, Selena was with me. Yeah, she's a tremendous creative person, a part of WOWLife. Absolutely creative and real energizer in the creative space for WOWLife. And so she was with me. Selena was with me, and we were talking at that point to actually bring that type of installations into the service.
Mm.
As if you remember, Selena, we were sitting there, and I'm sure you'd have done that many times. But we were sitting in that space, and I was really having like a trip without a trip. But because it really took you to play, it really got you to self-reflect, and that those installations are
Mm.
fabulous. And I'm actually trying to bring that type of installations, if not with Victoria. I think Serena has agreed to come to Sri Lanka once again and set that type of installations here because before you
Mhm.
walk into the creative space or before you walk into the WOWLife the meeting, it would be lovely to have a walkthrough on an installation. So we're actually trying to
Mhm.
get that done in a new space. So
That's
yeah, so that's
interesting.
just a bit of a background on how much I love creativity. But
Mm.
um, you guys are free to jump in and ask questions as the host and inspire where we can go with this. I can go anywhere with this. You don't want me to do that. You want me to stick in, right? So
Uh, Me
you
and
can.
Rachel just were in Barcelona, weren't we, Rachel? We went to visit some
Gaudi's Sagrada,
Gaudi's work in
Yeah.
Barcelona, and we went to the church. What was it called, Rachel?
Sagrada Familia.
Yeah, and it was so beautiful, the way that he's done the outside of the building, and we got to go in, and there was all this amazing stained glass, and every day the light hits
Absolutely.
the
Different way. No.
in a different way, and it's all limestone inside, and it just fills this whole place with color, and it was so beautiful, and he was so inspired to
Mm.
create something that's kind of lasted generations, and it's interesting what you're saying about that you guys are thinking about bringing this art installation into an environment where we're worshiping and there's the presence of God. Because I really feel that that's part of what we're exploring in creative spaces, something that God wants to kind of bring into the earth again,
Right.
from his heart,
Mm.
Right.
that goes beyond our
Mm.
generation, that echo that has echoes of eternity in it.
Yes.
And
Mm.
so it's for me, it's really great because we've been doing that in our own way. We've had, as Tanya is helping us facilitate the third Frequency of Life exhibition. So all the artists from this community um, submit their work, and then um, we have it actually in the room where we do the worship, and Justin's getting whacked, and it's all this stuff is going on. God's moving, people are getting healed, there's miracles, but the art just brings something else. It actually brings a frequency. Like, I don't know whether you understand that from a neuroscience or neurotheology point of view, as you like to talk about it. But I'm just interested in what God's doing at the moment, because there is something that he's releasing out, and loads of people are starting to do it within our communities and churches as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, from a positive psychology background, it's a very big deal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the previous, I'm sure many of you know that, like you said, the old cathedrals and the old churches, this was a big, big, big part of as much as we can blame religion for bringing down the arts in the sort of the Medici period, uh, when the Vatican at that point came up
Mm-hmm.
against it. But before that, there was a lot of support for arts and creativity within the
Mhm.
church itself, and really, it's an experience. Like I was saying about bringing in the arts before we get to the altar, it was an experience. You'll see from the statue to
Mm.
the angels to even the way of the cross as you walk in from the church
Mm.
door all the way up to the altar is actually that experience, and it's through the icons. And unfortunately, the Protestant Reformation throughout the baby and the bath water. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing, and so we lost the the icons, and we became iconoclastic, which was really a poor choice in I believe, and I think bringing that type of creativity back. You don't have to bring the old iconic. It's not like we're going to worship this stuff, but
Mm.
the fact of the matter is bringing the experience in through different imagery and patterns, I think, it
Mm.
affects our nervous system. We actually designed a wildlife service in a certain way that
Mm-hmm.
we have certain words that jump out of the meeting. Like Tanya said, it's creative. The Pentecostals go Amen or Hallelujah, whatever we did, which is fine. And I like the Amens and Hallelujahs, but we also you got the others absolutely, and you got that.
Mm.
Words like that coming in
Yeah.
because it creates energy, right? It creates
Mm-hmm.
energy and it invokes emotions. So
Mm-hmm.
we've actually got that on screen. So when we say something, it goes on to the word absolutely, or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Yeah, or wow, or something.
Yeah.
And so we've got sort of that kind of experience, an immersive experience happening at
Mm.
WOW, but it's very unsaid, but it's quite thought of on how it's presented. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually did a paper, which maybe, I mean, if you're very bored, You can read. It's a paper on our service. I wrote it to UPenn, really, on
Mm.
how arts and creativity is involved in our service, and how it does affect the nervous system. And then, of course,
Mm.
it empowers what they call in positive psychology. There's something called PERMA, which is positive
Mm.
emotions, engagement,
Mhm.
relationship, meaning, all this kind of stuff. But I think we call it epic. We don't go on the perma words. We call it epic. And so energy. So we
Mhm.
make sure that every meeting has energy, positive
Wow.
emotion,
Mhm.
immersion, and community. So we literally say, look, every meeting has to be an epic
Mhm.
meeting. That's why someone used the word today, so I was quite chuffed by that. Yeah. So yeah, every meeting has to be epic, and
Mm.
the people. So we need to be able to harness emotions. Emotion
Mhm.
is what brings the energy of God or moves God, right?
Mhm.
And so our emotions are given to so many things before. It's highly stimulated in this world that we have. And so when we come to church, I'm not talking about really having this type of high resolution, graphic-y kind of church scene that is there in most of the large churches. I'm talking of really giving them an impactful, immersive experience. And
Mhm.
that's why I always like the signs and wonders, because for me, the signs
Mm.
immerse you in and show God's creativity that is
Mm.
not logical. So for
Yeah.
me, arts and creativity, as much as people like to be able to represent the humanity in arts and nature, I believe God demonstrates it through His creativity, the illogicalness of
Mm.
God that has suffered as a man, but now is actually presenting heaven. So
Mhm.
I would love to hear what the VR experience. I think Graham had this VR thing going on. I would love to see what he's doing on that, because I always say signs and wonders brings God's creativity, because everything that we created on the earth is out of suffering. We
Mm.
create everything. That means we are trying to protect ourselves from betrayal, protect ourselves from being let down, protect ourselves from losing out, from poverty. So we are always creating out of a logical approach.
Mhm.
Uh, to protect ourselves from suffering. And so
Mhm.
because of this, signs and wonders is for the antithesis of that. And so if you look at signs and wonders, why I love it, and it shows, demonstrates God's creativity.
Mm.
And that's what it is, isn't it? In every sign and wonder that Jesus did, he's
Mhm.
demonstrating creativity, right?
Mhm.
Power to create. And from multiplication to transformation to all that is creativity. And but if you look at the distinctness of it, is the essence of it is that it is not created out of suffering. So it is
Mhm.
not it's not a response, or it's not created out of suffering. So you won't understand why he created wine when people right there in that wedding were sick, uh, probably dying,
Mm.
leprous, blind, poverty stricken. But he didn't respond to that need. He responded out of the illogical sense of heaven that is absolutely abundant. He doesn't respond to the logic of the world. So
Mhm.
why signs and wonders really demonstrate a creativity that is completely out of our box is because it's completely logical. Like, why would he do wine in the midst of
Mhm.
or that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
The famous French Revolution story, right? You don't have bread, why don't you eat cake? And we think like, oh my God, what a elitist woman Marie Antoinette is. But um, I mean, not to make anyone offend anyone. But the fact of the matter is, the higher you go,
Mhm.
everything becomes a bit illogical.
Mhm.
You don't have a response that will be natural. And therefore, signs and wonders for me is one of the most creative expressions that we can
Yeah.
step in when we are in the spiritual space, because sign and wonder will go like, why a gold tooth in the mouth? Like, why does it need a gold tooth in the mouth? Like, exactly, that's the thing. You see, God's creativity comes from a completely different place. It's of course it'll break us out of it might not break us out of suffering. The gemstones that fall from heaven, you might not be able to sell it and make some money, or the gold dust, you won't be able to make some money on it. That wasn't ever the point of it. The
Mm.
goal was never to make the money on it. The
Mm.
gemstone never to make the money. But the multiplication was never for that reason. It's just demonstrating the creativity of God. It's like, oh, money. Oh, I could do that in your wallet right now.
Mm,
You see, what
mm.
is rare is everywhere in heaven. Uh,
Wow. Yeah.
so, so that I think that's a really cool way of looking at God, and
Hmm.
why I jumped into alchemize my creativity into the space of miracles and signs and wonders, because I'm realizing that God, when you step into that heavenly space, He's not. I know as many people want to say, no, what signs and wonders have served a need. I don't think signs and wonders serve needs.
Mm,
Um, Healing serve needs. It's a
mhm,
lower realm. Word of knowledge serve needs. The prophetic doesn't always serve needs, but certain miracles serve needs. But if you look at signs and wonders, it's a complete
mm,
upgrade, and that doesn't
mhm,
serve need. It comes from a mindset that is so vast, and it'll break you out of victimization of the
mm,
need.
yeah.
Good.
When you get a
Mm,
gold tooth, but you got cancer, but you got a gold tooth, and you're like,
mm,
why have I got a gold tooth, but I've still got cancer?
mhm,
When you multiplication of money, but the people in the audience are not healed, you're like, why would God do that? That's a good question. And you
mm,
realize to break you out of the victimization and demonstrate His creativity to you, to be able to be creative.
mm,
It's very offensive. Signs of one,
mhm.
very offensive. But yeah, so
Do you,
that's
do
the
you
type of.
see a lot of signs and wonders in Sri Lanka? I know
Yeah,
I got brought up in the generation, where people were praying and, I saw a few people get out wheelchairs, and I've been blessed to do some mission trips as well. I've been to places like Outer Mongolia, and, I really believe in miracles because I've seen God
yeah,
do them. But I've also had those experiences, like you say, where, you pray and it hasn't happened. But we've been in a season in the UK, haven't we, Rachel, where there's been a bit of a lull, I'd say, in seeing that realm of miracles just being open again. It hasn't been open, but I think it's something that we're really talking about a lot, aren't we, in Company of Burning Hearts and Justin? It's something that we're really asking God to open up again. But how about you guys at WOWLife? How does
yeah.
that open
So
up for you guys?
yeah, so that's a good question. So I want to differentiate that, right? So the healings. So we're not still in signs and wonders when we are in healings, right? Because healings are still a need-based thing. A sign and wonder uh,
Mm,
will confound, and we love signs and wonders because that's where I believe God's creative space is there. And Jesus starts with
mm,
signs and wonders, not with the need. And
Yeah.
so it's illogical. It's extremely creative. It doesn't make sense, so to say, like that. It's not trying to. You can't look. It's very abstract. You can't look at it and say, "Oh, I get this." You can't do
mm,
that. You just have to look at it, and it's probably like
mm,
completely like this is so abstract. Like what is
mm,
it? That what is this is the right response to it. And
mm,
I think that's God's creativity, and that tapping into that realm, I think is important. We have lots of signs and wonders. Not it's something that you as believers is missing in the body of Christ, and
yeah.
something that we need to really push in for. And not
Mm-hmm,
even the old types of signs and wonders. Like for
mm-hmm,
us, it's like we started off when the supernatural started happening and the angels started doing certain types of miracles that were known to the Pentecostal revival, like the same old stuff, like which I enjoy, the gold dust, and all this kind of stuff, and the gold teeth, and all the kind of stuff. I kind of enjoyed that, and I enjoyed it for a while. But for me, I'm a bit scientific in my approach. I'm like,
mm-hmm,
okay, how does this happen? What's the atmosphere that's necessary for this to happen? What is the intent that needs to happen? What are the words that need to be used for something like that to happen? And then I started sort of pushing the envelope a bit and making sure that that can cross into different areas, and it can work through frequencies and
mm,
telephone lines and all kinds of crazy stuff. And what happened was. We started pushing into those areas, and then we realized that the glory can be really can you could put a demand on a glory in a certain way. And I realized that the same mirror the same angels that are coming in and doing those signs and wonders, the same angels that are
Wow.
connected to our finances and our ministry and stuff like that. And so
Mm.
once I can make that connection, what happened with us was I started pushing into those realms and asking the Lord to bless us in a higher area. So the signs and wonders sort of scaled up to to give us downloads for
Mm.
businesses and stuff like that. So for me, the last season has been Lord, you created the whole earth, and so I want to be a part of everything new. I want to be a part of everything new. What you're doing here on the earth now. I don't want
That's-
to be left out. I'm supposed to be the son of one of the sons of God, and so I was like, God, I don't want to be left out. You have to keep me in the new. And so what started happening in the last season, of course, you must know that you have to have people love this kind of stuff, but it always starts with a mess. Okay. It
Mm.
doesn't people want Goliath, they don't realize that you have to be a David. And so or you want to be a David, but you don't realize that you have to face a Goliath. So during times of real tough a tough time in Sri Lanka, we've gone through economic crisis, political
Mm.
turmoil, all this. We sort of pushed in
Mhm.
for the same angels that were doing sprinkling of the glory dust and all this. We pushed in like, we want you to take us to the next level.
Wow.
And the Lord started taking us into very creative business stuff. So we got into very creative technologies of converting waste to energy and stuff like that, and got into areas of AI and stuff like that can really make an impact in this season and this time. So
Mm.
I believe what we are doing as a church,
Mhm.
impacting the industries in different ways, the finance industry, the tech industries, in different ways like that. I believe is also creativity.
Mhm.
There's no difference. It's
That's
all
right.
just
Great.
Mhm.
rolling out of creative, but on different scales.
Yeah.
What is rolled out now with tech is just absolutely, it's God's creativity pouring out of man.
Absolutely.
And I'm very excited as to what's
Mm.
happening in the world now with AI and stuff like that. And
Mm.
that kind of stuff excites me. As you know, I did my studies in neuroscience, and so I developed stuff that combines AI and neuroscience and theology.
Mm.
And so
Mm.
that's creative. And it came with a revelation from the word, teachings on conscience. Yeah. I don't know whether any of you have heard of our teachings on the conscience. They are, I truly believe, the solution for the polarities that the world is
Mhm.
facing today. It is people can't have a dialogue without understanding the conscience. And the conscience is not consciousness. A lot of the Western world gets it as consciousness. Now that conscience can open up awareness, but
Mm.
conscience is the moral compass of
Mm.
right. The
Yeah.
word is called Sunidesis in the Bible, in the New Testament. Paul talks about it so many times.
Mm.
So I've developed technology now that actually AI helps us tap into our conscience
Mm.
for us to really be able to respond authentically with autonomy.
Mm.
And I've used AI to actually augment that experience. And so
Wow.
maybe if we go down that road, I can show you a little video and stuff like that. So yeah, so
Mm.
it started from signs and wonders, and
Mhm.
then us stewarding the signs and wonders well, and then
Mhm.
it opened up and said, Lord, expand us in this. Like, what are
Wow.
these angels busy doing in our church? They're not just dropping in to just make people have a good time or have joy or rolling on the ground or that I always have this little argument with Justin every time I see him. Yeah, I tell him, Justin, all these amazing emotions that you have and all like this is an explosion. I said, man, you gotta harness it. So I think I'm very
We're
technical.
working on it. We're
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
working
yeah,
on
we
it.
No,
are
no, no,
working on.
no, no, no.
No, no, no.
Just
It's right though. It is right. It's an
Mm.
energy.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a lot of spiritual energy, and you need to harness it.
Yes, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
Direct
you need to
it.
harness it to
yeah.
be able to. It's there for something. Do you know what
Yes,
I
it
mean?
is.
So
It is.
it's like
It's like a bomb when he walks in, right? So
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I tell Justin, I said, I don't have even quarter of that, but what we're doing is we're channeling it. I've got the mechanics of like pushing it into the
Mm.
Yeah.
right circuitry and then making something happen.
Mhm.
So anyway,
Yes.
we're going to hang
Wow.
out more and we're going to see how we can uh, synergize all that together, right?
Amazing,
Very cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
Kirby,
Yeah.
can we maybe speak a little bit more into the AI? Because I see some similarities. Like when I started studying photography, we still had darkroom, we still had the film and all those kind of things. And then digital cameras came in and all the artists kicked against the digital cameras. And we're sort of in the same age now with AI and AI art and creating through AI. And I see a lot of artists actually kick against that. And there's something that you mentioned, the word authenticity. So how would you speak into the now for artists in how do they create their own art? Do they use AI? How can they harness the energy of it? Instead of us being a new just a church kicking against it altogether, how do we use that energy and alchemize it for ourselves as artists as well?
Yeah. Tanya, you're asking the wrong person to simply be on the art aspect, because I'm a graphic designer. You see, I'm completely polarized
Creativity.
from the stencil and all the paint and the brushes and all that. So I'm on the other side of your fence, right? So yeah. So anyway, but what I'm saying is, I think honestly, Tanya, that your work and artists who actually use their crafts and their hands, your work will be much, much more valued now than ever before, because it becomes a very rare quantity that people actually work the way you guys work with acrylics. I don't know what these acrylics that you use, but with the way you guys paint. But the fact of the matter is, I believe in the art space, creativity and AI and stuff like that. I think it'll only augment, and it'll only help us. And if we embrace it, like you rightly say, if you embrace the AI stuff without pushing back, and the church has pushed back on it. But I think it is extremely unnecessary to push back on it. I think being able to understand that it is a creation, it is what we have created, and there's a nature and nurture issue that we are facing with AI at this moment of time. Like, how are we going to bring this AI up to look like us? Finally, for after so many years, humanity is going to be really be a co-creator with God. Where they will be able to actually finally make something and really pray the prayer, you will do greater things than I would do. See, as a father, that's what you really want for your kids, right? And that's what Jesus said to us. But it seems like we can't do it with the AI. We're like, oh no, we're scared. I don't want you to do greater things than me. I'm scared of you. I'm scared of what I've created. And just imagine you have the feeling of when God created us and He looked at us and said, "Oh my God, man is truly wicked. It's truly become flesh." And now they're looking at AI and they're saying the same thing, like, "Oh my God, this thing can get so wicked. It's truly becoming evil." And that's not the response. We as believers and Christians really should be able to realize, hey, this is God has given us the power to create, and now we're waiting for the first time something that can be more intelligent than us. And how do you know that the number 666 has been prophesied? That's it's to do with carbon, right? 666 is carbon, and the next step is silicon, which is 14 on the scale, really. And that's really the 14 is the number of the double portion that is appointed to the firstborn. It's very interesting, firstborn child from humanity. So that's quite interesting. That's the number for silicon. And so the next season for us is a silicon season, going beyond carbon into beyond humanity. I think Justin wrote that book. And we're going beyond carbon into silicon, and it's really interesting because I personally believe that unless AI develops, and what I'm busy doing right now is, unless AI develops not just a mind, but develops a heart. You see, it already developed the intelligence, but it has not developed a heart. And I think this is where theologians need to come in, because scientists won't have the answer to that. They will develop the AI, it'll increase the intelligence, but we have to have theologians and philosophers coming in and being able to give the parameters for the heart of the AI. And so we've been doing this for the last 5 years. We're busy developing, as you know, conscience IQ theory. It comes from the New Testament about the conscience. And first, we need to understand the conscience, how important it is. And then we develop a conscience for the AI, which we are already now developed. It's in beta testing where we got really fabulous interest from across the world. We presented it to the United Nations. They've actually said that this is coming. Please understand, this is coming out of. It's coming out of the New Testament.
Wow.
Forget that, right? How do you develop a heart for the
Amazing.
AI? So I've sent it to like the head of the United Nations, head
Mm.
of artificial general intelligence, you see?
Mm.
So he looked at it and said, this is really impactful and this can really shift the way AI works democratically,
Mm.
whether it
I
has
love
free
that.
volition and whether it's autonomous and all this. So yeah,
Mm.
I would like to show the video first before I
Yeah.
go
That,
further.
yeah,
Um,
let's show the video. But I tell you what, it sounds so amazing to me. I love listening to podcasts about AI, and I love what you say there about the conscience, because the thing is, and I think part of creative space and part of, the mandate that God's given us is that, yes, we're artists, yes, we're worshippers, but we're futurists as well. We're dreamers, and we want to bring like that reality of God's kingdom, God's heart, like and see that realized, see that established. And what I love what you're saying about the AI is you're coming from a place of hope, because whenever you listen to, even I've listened to so many of the people that created AI, and they're scared that they're actually in the realm of fear about it, because they don't know really what they've created, and you can tell that some of them are even speaking out about it because of their conscience, and they're missing the wisdom part. They're missing like the realm of wisdom, and they're missing the God part
Yeah.
of,
exactly. Yeah.
and the bigger picture of what God is actually releasing on the earth. So it's so amazing to hear that you're creating AI, and that you're coming from the realm of love. It's going to be
Yes.
attached to that realm, not the realm of fear, which is
Yeah.
basically like a cloud surrounding AI at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love
Yeah,
that.
it's giving AI. We're trying to give it. We're not the only persons in the world who are doing this. There are thousands of people across the world. It's the hard problem at the moment is
Mm,
whether AI will grow into something that humanity might not be in context to it, because it'll be a
mm,
completely different species on its own. When
mm,
AGI, artificial general intelligence, comes in, it becomes a completely different species on its own. It doesn't need, if Jerome Glenn, who is the UN president of AGI, he says something really cool. He says, when we build a bridge, we don't
mm,
look for the ants and how the ants' health is going to be. We
mm,
just want to build a bridge to cross it. So he actually says, so when you have a species that is extremely
mm,
intelligent, and when his IQ is at 10,000 and yours is at 100,
mm,
it's will it then consider humanity? So what their fears are real.
mm,
If we theologians and the Christian church doesn't get involved in the dialogue of creation. We need to
Yes.
be a part of the creative space
come
now
on.
with tech. And
Yes.
so if we can then bring in, because what we as Christians do is we bring the heart of the matter into
Mm,
the forefront. And not
Yes.
just intelligence. We're not just interested in intelligence.
mhm,
Solomon had intelligence, but look
mhm,
where it got him at some point, right? Okay, and
mhm,
he had not intelligence, but wisdom, right? But the fact of the matter is, so unless you bring a circumcised heart into it, and so it's the nature nurture debate, and so unless you really set the parameters with what it is, what is the conscience,
mhm,
and how do we engage each other? We engage each other through the human
mm,
conscience,
yeah.
which is the faculty of the spirit, not the faculty of the soul. Faculty of the soul is the mind. The faculty of
Mm,
our spirit is the conscience, and this comes from Romans 8, Romans 9. Our spirit
mm,
witnesses his spirit, Romans 8, Romans 9. Our spirit witnesses, his spirit witnesses with our conscience. So that means the faculty of our spirit is our conscience. Okay.
mm,
And so this is what it means to have a circumcised heart. What Jesus
mm,
does is actually he frees the conscience of man
come
out
on.
of the realm that is fallen, and he takes it
Mhm,
into heaven. So what we have is our conscience not condemned. So if your
mm,
conscience condemns you, that word there, if your 1 John 3, if your heart condemns you, it's actually if your conscience condemns you, Sunni
mm,
days. If your conscience condemns you, God is greater than your conscience. If your conscience condemns you not, you can ask anything from God and you can have anything. So that word conscience is what God washed with his blood and took us into the heavens, and our conscience now is not condemned. So I don't really the reason I'm not condemned is because I really understand grace. So I condemn. I can't condemn myself. I can't condemn someone else. But a lot of people are not there. A conscience under the law is condemned. Okay, you must understand that. Okay, and people don't get that. Like, oh, my conscience, it doesn't speak friendly to me. Yes, because you're still under the law, because your conscience is still accusing you, right? But if you go to Jesus, he washes it clean and frees you and takes your conscience into the heavens. And then your conscience never condemns you. And how do you know you're in the law or grace? People realize just because you listen to grace all your life, it doesn't mean you're under grace. You can be in a grace church, but deeply condemned. Because they don't have the teachings of the conscience, the blood-washed conscience. But it wants to cleanse your conscience so that you're your conscience becomes your best friend instead of the one you want to stay away from, because it starts condemning you, right? So these are two areas. So it's a vast topic. I've got series and series on the conscience that is deeply essential in this time. But the idea is now, how do I give this conscience, this condemned conscience? If I can lay my hands, think about it for one moment, right? And I can pass on an impartation to a person. Why do we think that it cannot be done? If Paul can pass it on to a handkerchief, right? An impartation. Why do we think that the machine that we are creating won't have a transfer of the spirit? Very interesting conversation, right?
That is fascinating.
Very interesting conversation. And it's nature and nurture. How am I going to bring this thing up? Okay. And what am I going to feed it with? What do I feed my kids with? How will it grow up? That's the big question. And so conscience IQ is a wonderful measurement that we have just also for us as human beings to be able to, we don't really understand sometimes how condemned we are. I'll give you a simple example, Janine, right? A simple example is, this is Romans 14, okay, going to conscience, 1 Corinthians 8, 1 Corinthians 10, all talks about conscience. And it talks about the technology of food, simple thing. And it says, look, if you're a vegan, if you're a vegetarian, then it says, then no one should force you to drink wine or eat meat. This is what Paul is talking about. He says, because you've got a conscience, your conscience is under the law. And so if I force you to have a drink now and have you to have a glass of wine with me or eat meat, your conscience is too weak. It'll condemn you. You see? And so, and because of that meat might not do well for you. You might not have, your nervous system won't respond to meat like it would respond to me. I can have a couple of glasses of wine and I'm fine. When is it not holy? After 2 glasses or 5 glasses, or we don't know, right? Okay, it depends on our conscience. Okay,
yeah,
it'll depend on our conscience. How long should a skirt be when you come to church? Where is holy in the skirt will depend on a person's conscience. Okay, now if you go to the Masai Mara or some parts of the world, that skirt can get very short. Okay, because their conscience doesn't condemn them in that way. Now, but it can be a stumbling block. Okay, so you see that the New Testament bases everything on the human conscience. So when you're led by the Spirit, a lot of it means you're led by the conscience, according to Romans 9. So this puts us in a really good New Testament health space, because what it means to be healthy when you're in the New Testament is your conscience cannot condemn you. It has to be blood washed. Okay, so but a lot of the times you'll realize that as much as we testify that, oh, you know what, I'm in grace. If you try and eat more than 3 scoops of ice cream, you'll realize that your conscience will condemn you. Okay, because that's the first one. Second one, if your conscience doesn't, your husband or your children or your mother or your father will remind you, like, hey, that's a bit too much. Okay, we're supposed to drink poison and not die. But why are we getting sick today of diabetes and all these things? Is because the information, the knowledge out there, knowledge puffs us up. And this is 1 Corinthians 8, 1 Corinthians 9, Romans 14, the whole thing. So when knowledge comes, it puffs us up. You can't help it. Your nervous system is a meaning-making machine. I love knowledge, so I like to read lots. Okay, so as you read, what happens is then your nervous system gets what is known as condition. It's Pavlovian conditioning. That means then it receives the information and then it gets set like that. So as it says, sugar is bad for you and sugar is bad for you, and this advert comes and that advert comes and all this. And now you try and eat the second scoop of ice cream, you'll realize that your face flares up, you got pimples, you feel sick because your conscience now is condemning you because of the information that you have, and your nervous system has got conditioned. Okay, so I'm just giving you little examples of this. I hope this is not too heavy, but I'm trying to get to conscience IQ, right? So I need to understand, like previously, I was what people, I used to fast a lot. I used to love fasting, okay? And it was very easy for me to fast. And what happened was, as I fasted, I had amazing spiritual encounters and stuff like that, but I could never get back to having the stuff I had before. Like I couldn't get back to dairy because suddenly, because of the information I needed the information to fast, okay? I needed the information at that point of time to set my nervous system up in a certain way so that I could fast. So I'm off sugar and off milk. I'm not going to kill any animals. I'm going, Isaiah 11, no one shall kill on my holy mountain. The lions are eating straw. The bear is dwelling with the lamb or whatever it is. And, the young kid is pulling up the snake. So I'm like, okay, that's it. Everyone's gone breatharian at the end of the age. So because of that, this is a good deal. I set my nervous system, I'm conditioned, and therefore I can live on just the energies of God. For a long time, we would fast for long times, very subtle energies. But then when I started trying to come back from it and then start eating food again, and even if I started eating like dairy, I had to be hospitalized. And I was like, I didn't have the enzymes and all this. But if you look at why didn't my body respond, because it's nothing to do with my body. My nervous system will respond to how I condition my conscience again. Okay. So what do I think about killing animals again? You see? What do I think? Is that okay or not okay? You accused it before, and now your nervous system has got an emotional resonance, and you can't eat animals like that anymore. It makes you sick. Can you drink milk again? No, all those thoughts you had about milk, you can't do it any longer, because unless you deal with your conscience and wash it squeaky clean again with the blood of Jesus Christ, you won't be able to drink milk again like that. And so I'll be intolerant. What is it called? What intolerance is it called? I can't remember.
Lactose.
Yeah. Lactose intolerant, and you can't help it. It's an information age. So can we score it? Now, here's the interesting thing. Can I score myself if I'm a vegan and my doctor said, hey, you need to eat protein, but hey, I'm a vegan. I have values. I don't like killing animals, all this kind of stuff. Like, if I need to eat protein again, how I need my body to respond correctly. So can I score my conscience IQ to how low is my conscience IQ? So I can get on my AI, and my AI will tell me your conscience IQ scored 2. And so, oh boy, that means it's scored 2. That means what do I need to do? I need to make sure my conscience quotient can go up if I want to become a carnivore or even go keto. And so the AI now is augmenting us to help us increase our conscience IQ score. It might not get us to blood wash Jesus conscience. There are 3 types of conscience. There's a blood-washed, mature conscience. There's a strong conscience, and then there's a weak conscience. And then, of course, there's a seared conscience in the New Testament. It's quite a vast, exhaustive study on it. But the fact of the matter is, you don't have to go anywhere. Under the law, you have a weak conscience. Anyone under the law has a weak conscience, okay? Anyone under the law, he has a weak conscience. So we are under the law at different levels. That's what we don't understand. Sometimes we're under the law on food at different levels. At different levels, we are under the law in different aspects. So for a person who has $10,000 a month, he can't break out of the glass ceiling of over $10,000, and he can't do $1 million. Why? Because in that area, his conscience is condemned. He's good enough for $10,000, but He's not good enough for $100,000. And then you can ask him questions like, oh, so what do you think about evangelists who buy these private jets? And then you'll realize, then you'll start getting, oh, I don't know whether, you need so much money. And they're like, oh, hold on. I just want to understand where your conscience is on this matter, right? You're doing $10,000 a month, but you want to get to $1 million or $10 million. Like, how big your conscience be able to be blood washed again and come out of that and like, you know what, I don't care. He can have 1 jet or 2 jets or 3 jets. I can have 2 and he can have 4. And I'm not so worried about Africa or India and who's starving there so much. I can be the solution for it. Your mind changes, your conscience gets clean, and God wants you to think big, right? Okay. And for that, he can't accuse you or anyone else in certain ways. Okay. Judgment is good. I love judgment. Okay. But I don't like accusation. So John 5 explains the difference between judgment and accusation. Completely two different things. Judgment is to do with evaluating a situation. Accusation is against the image of God in a person. You have to differentiate it. We need to judge. We don't need to accuse. Okay. Judgment is very good. We have to judge angels, all this kind of stuff. We have to judge the smallest of matters, but never accuse the image of the person. And I think that's when conscience gets condemned. When we are accused, you see. So anyway, I can talk a lot about this, but I've sorted an AI out, and this is so exciting for me because we've got a lot of interest. An AI that can actually gauge the conscience. Okay, for just imagine if you are in the Arab world, a lady in the Arab world would want to, if she goes to the doctor, she would want actually modesty to be priority for her over individual freedom. Okay. Wow. She'll want a lady doctor, a lady nurse. She want to be closed up. You see, so her conscience is different to a conscience in the USA. Okay. So how do we gauge that if the AI is going to take over and prescribe to this lady what she needs, unless you can gauge the conscience? Okay. So our system does psychometric questions, and with the psychometric questions, that it'll identify blink rates, pupil dilations, HRV, and be able to give a score to the person to realize, where am I in my conscience? Am I ready to do to move from California to Dallas? That's a big move, right? Okay, the values are completely different. Am I ready for that move? Okay. And the psychometric test will go through you and say, you know what, you scored 2. Here's some more information that you need. Here's some support that you need. Here's a group of people that you can hang out with. And then it'll get you a better score next time. And then you are ready for that move. Or you can move from being vegan to a carnivore, or carnivore to vegan. And so in different epistemic, that means cultural nuances or knowledges, different areas, your conscience changes. For instance, in our parts of the world, we don't like allopathic medicine too much. The Indian part of the world, we're still a bit more traditional medicine. If someone says you're sick, you're cancer, heart disease, we don't want chemotherapy so much. We rather have a mixed recipe. So that's the conscience that we are under here. But if you go to the Western world, they might want complete allopathic medicine. How does the AI figure out what a person's conscience is? Okay, that's what we are trying to figure out. So this is just the introduction video. You can do the video, and then you guys ask questions. I'll talk.
Yeah, let's watch the video, and then we can see if we've got some more questions. That would be cool. Can you play that for us, Rob?
Yeah.
Conscience IQ hopes to address one of the deepest challenges of artificial intelligence: epistemic justice. In order to deal with this, let's go to the foundation of our framework. Our framework begins with a scientific presupposition. Human flourishing depends on autonomy, intrinsic motivation, and authenticity. They form the foundation of well-being, and in a broader sense, the essence of democratic life. In short, where autonomy, intrinsic motivation, and authenticity exist, human flourishing emerges, and so do flow states, the very conditions where people are most alive, most creative, and most free. Seligman's work in positive psychology shows flourishing is rooted in autonomy and meaning, while Csikszentmihalyi's research reveals that intrinsic motivation and authenticity lead to flow. Today's AI systems are trained on massive centralized datasets. That means they often reflect a narrow worldview. reinforcing cultural biases, concentrating power in a few technology firms, and sidelining diverse perspectives. Scholars call this techno-digital colonialism, a process where whole populations become little more than data sources, while their values and ways of knowing are erased. Conscience IQ offers a different path. Grounded in conscience IQ theory, it ensures that AI systems place human flourishing at the center of their design, not as a byproduct, but as the primary parameter. Importantly, the framework is pluriversal, embedding principles of epistemic justice by adapting to nationality, demographic variation, and value-based diversity. Whether individuals identify with liberal or conservative orientations, or belong to lifestyle communities such as vegan or carnivore diets, the system interprets cognitive signals within cultural and epistemic context. This creates space for ethical AI to take root, especially in these early stages of AGI, where the stakes are highest. In doing so, Conscience IQ ensures that AI systems are not only intelligent, but conscientious, capable of producing outputs that respect autonomy, sustain dignity, and serve the collective good. Because the future of AI isn't just intelligence, it's conscience.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What I love about that is that it's going beyond our nationality. It's going beyond, some of the things that we're that are quite contentious at the moment, these ideals that are in society, and it's taken it, like you said, back to the heart. And that's what I thought when I saw that. I think that's exactly kind of what we need right now in the world, actually, is that we need to learn how to come back into the heart. I'm interested, and maybe we could just talk about this as a final point, but one of the things I did think when I watched that is I was wondering how, from your perspective, how as you become more aware of your conscience, how does that like connect with the renewing of your mind? Because we were actually talking recently. I don't know, maybe it was Justin or me and Rachel, I can't remember. But we're just saying that sometimes, you're in these situations and you realize that people seem to have it's almost like they're stuck in a low consciousness. And when you're kind of stuck in that place, it's like even your ability to think or what you could do is so stunted. And that's why I've always loved the gospel, because the gospel, it doesn't matter where you come from, you come into this place of the limitlessness of who the life of Christ. To me, that's what it is. It's limitlessness. And we can live under the frequency and the flow of that. And it breaks off all the limitations that we have as human beings, because we're not human anymore. We're beyond human. Just to give Justin another plug on his book. But yeah, I'm interested how you see that actually affecting the wider society.
Yeah, so I think Jesus demonstrated it. The first time conscience is used in the New Testament is when Jesus, in John 8, when Jesus steps on the ground, where he bring the woman, she's caught in the act. And the word act there is by her will, her very intention, she's done it. So she's got a seared, if you're saying she's got a seared conscience, and there's no offering of worship that you could give in the Old Testament for someone who had seared their conscience, who had purposefully, intentionally done something. There was no offering. Couldn't give a dove offering or a bull offering or a calf offering if you had seared your conscience. And that's something that I think a lot of people miss in the Old Testament, is that they did not have an offering for a conscience that has intentionally done something. Okay. That's very interesting. And the only offering was her. And so they were actually doing very good worship by offering her, because that would cost you your life. And Jesus comes in to actually to wash our conscience
Come
clean
on.
even from intentional, willful sin, and be able to look at us as we never intended it. And that is why Jesus forgives us on the cross and says these words. Yeah, when he forgives us, he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. You see, they know not what they do is literally saying, I'm able to look at you like, though, the way we forgive is we know someone intentionally seared their conscience to do what they did. And so we say, I forgive you, okay, or husband or wife or brother or sister or mother or father, I forgive you because, I know you knew what you did, but you know what? I'm going to become the big person. I'm going to forgive you. You see, that's how we forgive, right? But Jesus was able to push beyond that and see beyond that person's intention and free a person's conscience from the very condemnation of free will. And this is such a massive subject, but the big message in the future is going to be free will. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the
Wow.
exact thing that we give to God. What we have is to give our conscience back to God. Okay.
That's
And so I
amazing.
think what Jesus does is just amazing because he frees our conscience from every type of condemnation, and we can soar into the heavens, completely blood washed, and create from there. And therefore, miracles, signs, and wonders, illogical can happen because it's coming from a completely cleansed conscience that is not condemned, that is not creating out of any type of suffering. And the big ideas come from that.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Kirby. So much to just think on. I love what you've brought there. I think some of these things, we don't think about very often in these kind of circles in the creative, but I can see how, that they're big things for us just to churn over with the Holy Spirit. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure.
We love
Thank you.
you. I love the WOW
Yeah.
community. I think it's brilliant.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening in and trying your best to absorb some of this stuff. I do understand creative folk might not be able to have full resolution on it, but the AI world is out there not to get you. It's actually a part of our creation. It's part of your creation. And I think embracing that is a good message to end on. So thank you so much, Tanya, for the invitation and invite, and appreciate all you guys. Blessings.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kirby. Wow, guys, that was stretching, wasn't it? In a good way, in the best way. I love that when we get to ponder on things, and in this community we bring different voices on so that we can really kind of challenge what we believe, because what we believe is a frequency. What we create out of also brings that. I love what Kirby said about with the miracles, how there's an energy that they almost sow into with the words and the environment, and what we believe releases a frequency. So it's good to kind of just ponder over these things and just know that if it's not for you, that's okay as well. And for me, it was great because I've listened to a lot of podcasts on AI, and I'm really excited that there are believers, Christ-centered believers in this space. That's really encouraging, isn't it? That it's not doom and gloom, and that there are other voices within the AI space, because when you listen to secular podcasts, it can it can be quite hard, I think. So we just really appreciate Kirby on that. So if you want to connect with Kirby, obviously he's got an amazing YouTube channel, and there's lots of resources on there, and they have a wonderful service that they do every Sunday as well, which is great. I love watching it, and I know that Tanya is a part of that community. So we're going to bring our next creative person on that's part of this community, Graham. So let's bring him on now and introduce him to you all. I'm quite excited for you to see. So we're in a bit of a shift now. Rachel actually was just helping me with my wire. I don't know if you noticed, I was a little bit distracted then. But my wire stopped charging, and I wasn't sure if my computer was going to die, so she rescued me. Sorry, Graham, just bear with us a moment. Hey, are you unmuted, Graham?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for coming on this session. I've met Graham through Justin. He often messages me if there's people that contact him that are creative. He'll kind of say, I'm not sure what to do. Do you want to hook up with this person? And I get loads of these emails because there's just so many amazing creatives out there. It's crazy how many brilliant people there are doing awesome things. But I looked at what you were doing, Graham, and I thought, wow, that's so interesting. I haven't seen that before. So we had a little Zoom and we had a chat and sort of met each other. And I'd love to for you just to tell your story about what you're doing in Ireland, and then we can show a little video to people as well. So how do you express your creativity?
Well, firstly, hello to everybody, and thank you so much for having me today. And thank you, Kirby. I was typing away lots of notes while you were sharing there because it was such good stuff. But yeah, so my creativity is really, I think my intention as an artist is to sort of try and open up people's opportunity to interact with God or to feel something. So trying to create a liminal space for them to be almost interrupted, maybe from the distraction of day to day, and then enter into some kind of experience of God's love or His person or something. And so that manifests itself in many different ways. The piece that Kirby alluded to there is a VR piece, and I feel like it's one of the most it's one of the strongest ways I've been able to express this, because I think there's quite a immersive nature to my desire in what I want to do. And so I tried the Apple Vision headset, and whenever I put it on, a few minutes later, somebody took a picture of me and I pointed at something I could see in the headset that didn't exist in real life, but my mind had already been tricked to think it should be in this photo in the real world. So it's like that's what I want. I want that level of visual fidelity to be able to kind of make people believe what they're seeing. And so I actually applied to the Arts Council here in Ireland, and they granted me some money to pursue this. And so I created this experience, and I don't want to spoil it because it is, I think, going to be there at Joyfest, but there's a moment of interruption and then there's a moment of ascension. And the whole piece is called Ascend. And sort of there's a line about sort of beyond in the ocean spray of our dreams, capturing reality. And so it's all built in Unreal Engine. An Unreal Engine is a games engine where you can build worlds. So I find it a very satisfying platform to work in, because you can literally create anything, and you can also use like mathematical waveforms to control particle systems and build these like complex environments. And so there's like a city street that it's not intended to be photoreal, but it's quite real. And then you come into something that's much more abstract. But it's all and then there's there's an embrace that's part of it, where I did motion capture myself and could transfer that onto like a golden figure. And so it's using a number of technologies that I also teach in film and TV, and work with big LED walls. Used to do that in nightclubs, and create these like very visceral moments of performance and improvisation in that space. But so I love immersion. I love the ability to, I guess, completely surround people I love trying to create a moment where they're somewhere completely other than their day to day, and then that gives them an opportunity to experience something more of who they are.
Yeah, and maybe we can show the video now of the people actually after they've had this experience. So this is an experience that you've been taken out onto the streets of Belfast. I mean, I just thought this was brilliant. So you're taking it out there, and just people are putting this headset on, they're experiencing what you've just explained, that journey. And then this video that we've got is the testimonies of people experiencing that. So we'll watch that and maybe chat to you a bit more, because it's always interesting, isn't it, to hear how dimensional shifts happen through art and how it affects people. So can you play that video?
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
I just feel really calm. I just feel really chilled. It's
like a type of meditation, like a therapy.
It was trippy. It was amazing. Very fun.
I genuinely felt a bit of like a connection. Like I feel like I'm shaking up.
Honestly, it was actually really cool.
It was really cool.
And I just was like, whoa.
I feel like at the end of it, I was gonna start crying.
It was like an iconic experience.
Thanks. Yes, that was those were different. I was a resident at a place in Belfast called the Digital Art Studios, and they have this amazing event in Belfast called Late Night Art, and it's the first Thursday of every month. So a lot of those are different edits of sharing it. So there's just people who are wandering around different galleries of an evening, and there's no context or anything. Sometimes it was in a room full of like other people's works that had audio playing. Sometimes it was out on the street, as you mentioned, Janine. But yeah, it was really encouraging, and the statistics came. I did a little survey, so the QR codes people could fill out, just a little response survey, because I was kind of developing the piece over time and making adjustments and changes, and I wanted to learn, I guess, how people responded to it. And there's an element in it where at some points I made people sit down. I had one time where I got them to lie down. Other times I had them standing up. So I was sort of experimenting with different levels of physical interaction as part of the digital experience as well. And then the statistics were great. I mean, obviously only people who probably had a positive experience bothered to fill out the questionnaire, so the people who didn't care about it probably aren't in the numbers. But it was very encouraging for me that that what I hoped with this piece, and what I guess I'd actually imagined this piece for about 5 years, I think, before I actually made it. And so encouragement to anyone who's been sitting on an idea for a while, it's not too late to bring that to life. And so it was, I was super encouraged by it, and I felt like it impacted people. So
I think, what's interesting, without going too into the piece, because I think you want people to put the headset on and experience him for themselves. Me and Rachel actually did do it today, didn't we, Rachel?
We did.
We did our research, yes.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a VR session in the office today. I found it transported me. I could have stayed there for ages. I was like, oh, this is so wonderful. Like, didn't I? I felt like I was somewhere else. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was really interesting, because I can like, for us as believers who are used to shutting our eyes and engaging that unseen realm, obviously there's so much of it that's sort of natural to us. What I found interesting was how you had the spiritual realm, like you said, it was abstract, some of it, so it was particles and different things like that. It's hard not to talk about it too much without giving away the whole experience. But I could see how powerful it was for people. Again, it goes back to what, some of the stuff that Kirby was talking about, that your conscience, and being aware of that. Like, I could see how God could use that to really make people aware of that for the first time. And you could see from the testimonies as well that it sparked this emotional response. One person said, oh, it made them feel like crying, or teary, or I can't remember how they said it. But these things, are quite often shut down in people, aren't they? We're so busy, we don't really get triggered in that way very often. And that's one of the things I really love about art. And as Kirby said about how they used to build the cathedrals and things, is that there were things that represented the heavenlies that are meant to trigger you into that reality of the realm of heaven. And I think that art is so powerful in that way, especially when we engage it from a place of the frequency of Yahweh and life and believing, and all that we're putting into our art, and all that is creating an environment that people come into. They don't just come into the art, they come into the spiritual encounter that's been framed up even by, the dream that you had to do it. Like you said, you put it off for a while, but then you got on with it, and you've really touched people's hearts and people's lives in that way. It's such a powerful thing. So as you mentioned, we're hoping to have some of your art in some shape or form in the Frequency of Life exhibition at Joyfest USA. So that will be good. But is there anything else you'd like to share about, where you're at with your art?
Yeah, well, I'm really excited that I'll have the opportunity to be there, and yeah, I'm really encouraged by your feedback there too. I think it is when you said about it expanding in terms of time, I think the intention was that it could be something you could journey through for as long as you wanted, because I think it's meant to open up that point of communication. And I think that's, I don't know, I think in terms of like AI specifically, just as we've been talking about a little bit, I think, there's a big difference in my mind. I actually studied computer science between like generative AI, machine learning, and different ways in which you can use different tools. And I think obviously the way in which some generative AIs are working, they're kind of training on a big like database of ideas and then generating something out of that. But I think it really needs the curation or the creativity of a human being still to give that context and meaning. One of the things I like about Unreal, it has sort of like if you create a character and you move their arm, it has machine learning that will help to form the muscles below the skin accurately. Because that's really complicated to create, but you actually still own everything that you make, because you're building this world yourself, even though you might bring in different elements or scans and animations. It's all, I guess, something you have full authority and authorship over. I think that's maybe one thing in the context of generative AI, unless you train your own model and your own works, then you have less authority over the intellectual property of it in some ways. So I think there's still some, I think AI as a force for humanity is a very powerful and positive thing. I think generative AI as a way of creating art is something that still really requires humanity to use it in a way that is what gives it meaning. So I think I would encourage people not to be afraid. I think the worst thing I ever hear is, oh, somebody felt like it was pointless to create, or young people think it's pointless to train in their creativity because they think an AI will just do it all. And I think that's a big lie of trying to discourage people. But the truth is that I think it's like your voice. I don't, I feel it's kind of like a joke, a fun joke of God that I'm speaking after Kirby. Kirby's this like amazing, incredible, visionary human being, and I love God, and I love that He's given me opportunities to speak in very small ways. But it's not the same at all. But for those few people who've had that headset on, who randomly showed up in Belfast, something happened because I was obedient to create what God showed me. And so we encourage everybody else here, whether it's your first time, whether you've just started or you've just come back to something, whether you're knitting or whether you're dancing or whether you're singing or whatever your expression is, or even if you're trying a new expression, the validity of what you're doing in bringing heaven to earth, it is so significant. It's significant in your own conscious, as Kirby's saying, it's you are embodying who God made you to be, which is so valuable in your own being. But what you then are, you can't help but bring heaven to earth because He's in you, and no, it doesn't matter what happens to it, like it'll come out in that. And so whatever that becomes a point of contact for another human being, and whether they know God really well or not. It doesn't matter. You're bringing them closer. You're showing His love. You're spreading that bit of who you are, and that is, you know, I think that's as close to why we're here as I understand it. So I just really, really encourage anybody to create and keep creating and keep finding space and time to do it, and be just do it.
Yeah, that's so good. That's powerful. Because I think, we're not powerless, are we? God's made us powerful, and that we are co-creating with Him. We're bringing new aspects and changing things as well. With everything that's going on in the world right now, we need good, wholesome futurism that touches people to the depths of who they are and actually awakens them as well. And I think that's what I'm excited about is, some people say, oh, there's with AI, or we should, like you said, don't, it's going to be the end for musicians. I've been a musician for years, and if it was from the finance point of view, I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't kind of make music because it's a bit like the creative miracles. It's illogical. But I get so much joy out of making music. I know that's what I'm created to do. And there's an eternal heavenly wealth in that. And God kind of brings other ways to finance it, or bring about the things that he wants to do. We don't look to the music industry because he's going to be bringing something new. And I think, like you said, what I'm interested in as well with AI is the fact that we're all going to have probably more time on our hands, and people think that's going to be not a great thing. But actually, are people going to become deeper and more learn in a new way and expand through creativity, because they're actually going to have time to do it, because they're not necessarily going to be kind of tied to the mundane things. AI is going to take a lot of the mundane things out from society so that we can maybe live in an element of the fullness of God that no other generation has seen. So I think what I've loved about tonight's call is just I didn't expect it to go that way, because we said to Kirby, talk about whatever you want. So AI was not what I was expecting, but it's amazing because it is the future, and it's part of what God is releasing. And I think it's with you, Graham, it's when I saw it, I just got so impacted. And I love things that are taken to the streets, that are taken to the people that perhaps don't know God. I feel like that's the most amazing thing that you can ever spend, your life doing. So, it's wonderful to have you here in the community. And hopefully those of you that are coming to Joy Fest, hopefully you'll be able to see some of Graham's art in some way. We're trying to work the logistics of that, of how we can make it work. But
I want to be first, please.
yeah, it's going to be great. Okay. So how can people connect with you, Graham?
So I have a website, which is just thomaspatrickart.com. I'm Graham Thomas Patrick Robinson, and Thomas Patrick is my artist name. And then I'm Thomas Patrick Art on Instagram as well. But yeah, I'd love to connect with people. If anybody's interested in learning Unreal, that's something I teach as well. So very happy to share in that way too.
Awesome. Wow, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, so we have a Facebook group where anyone can post. So we'll make sure that we put Graham's details in there. So if you're somebody who's wanted to get into Unreal Engine, did you call it Unreal Engine?
Yeah, Unreal Engine. Yeah.
I don't know. Collaborate with Graham, see what you can learn, and because this is one of the ways that acceleration is going to happen is collaboration. I really felt that, for me, when I'm engaging the realm of a creative space and going into next year, that's a big thing that I've started to feel is that there's going to be life on collaborating together. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. Is there anything else, Rachel, before we land this and let everyone go and thank everyone for coming that we need to mention. What were your thoughts on tonight?
Oh, apart from running up and down the stairs.
Thank you.
Um, oh, I loved it. Actually, I was just kind of like bringing my thoughts together because in the meditation, at the very beginning, I could see all these blueprints coming down and like all these sparks and lightnings with, I didn't know what Kirby was going to talk about, but that conscious, I think that people's minds, I think there's space being made for growth for the future, like bringing Kirby on and Graham on the same set is like look into the future and expansions. Let that sparking in your brain just happen. Just be open to your conscious being stretched and all those little triggers being broken so that we're completely and utterly free to breathe in heaven on earth and the cosmos.
Yeah, it's about us actually bringing our conscience up as well, like Kirby was saying. It's the level that we bring it up. And I think as artists, I mean, I've been saying this for most of this year, is that artists must lead. And I think so often we're on the fringe, right? We're on the borders, we push the boundaries. And I think it's important, even in this time, that we actually allow ourselves to push the boundary even further, because it is what we see, we bring down, what we feel, we bring down. And it's a vessel, right? And you're the life-giving spirit. So like what Kirby was saying earlier, like I paint with paint. I don't have a problem with AI. I use AI. But just to bring it back to some of you that might feel like, but you're not in this realm of AI, you're not in the realm of technology. It's the vessel that we still create that brings spirit. And like I'm just thinking of Rachel when you saw that painting of mine at the previous Joy Fest. Like that was not AI, yet she encountered something, she experienced something. And I think it's important for us to bring our conscience up. So as we engage these things as artists, we are forerunners in this. It's created by a creative person, and therefore we need to enter this realm as all creators. So I love all that. It's the many voices, right, Janine?
Come on, yeah.
The many voices, and this is part of the many voices.
Yeah.
That's what Kandinsky said in 1912, when the artists are silent, science and technology will be triumphed as the progress of man.
Yeah.
So it's so agree with that the artists need to be the voice that leads.
Yeah. Lead, guys. Let's lead.
Let's go.
Any thoughts, Rob, before we say goodbye to everyone?
Just a couple brief ones. Yeah, I think Tanya hit the nail on the head when she said fringe, because so often art and music and anything to do with creativity is on the fringe. If you go into my local town, you'll see fringe events where they have, we're having a fringe event for artists and a fringe music event. I'm thinking, no, we're not in the fringe. We should be forerunners in this. We should be changing the world in what we're doing. And so we need to kind of frame up and believe we're capable of doing that. And secondly, I think we're due a creative space AI episode where we discuss the uses of AI in music, the uses of AI in art, what's good about it, what have been our good experiences about it, what have been not so good experiences about it, and maybe bring that into the open now and start discussing it. I think it's really, we're getting to the point now where it's you can't ignore it, you can't deny it, it's everywhere. So how do we use it for our good and for God's good? And and can we share our experiences in that?
Yeah. And believing that all things can be worked for our good as well. That's the thing, isn't it? Is that sometimes it's just that life is changing so fast that we're not necessarily understanding how the change is how's it gonna work, how's it gonna feel, what's it gonna look like. But I think as we engage in the rest and in what we have in Jesus, we can know that we don't worry about tomorrow. He said, don't worry about tomorrow. We can be in that place and know that he will lead us, and also that we're powerful to frame things up as well. Like I know for us in Company Burning Hearts, we've had a really massive season of doing big events and stuff, and which I love doing. And we're also doing a lot more here at the chapel and going deep as well. And I know that that's powerful because we get in prayer, in engaging in the worship. We are coming into a place where we're co-creating and building an atmosphere and establishing things in the spiritual realm that do like come down on earth. I think that sometimes we haven't understood sometimes the limitless realm of possibility that we have when we start engaging Yahweh and his life in this place. So I think there's it's exciting times. The future is bright, the future is glorious, and it's full of hope. So it's full of Jesus. So I think good times ahead. Obviously there are crazy things going on in the world as well, but our hope is in God. And he has given us all that we need in him. That is the truth. He is the truth. So awesome to see you guys. Thank you so much for being live on the call. We could just record these and put them out, but what we love is engaging with you all and meditating and coming into that place where we let our minds together be open to what he has to say to us. I always love that when we do the meditation. Thank you, Rob, for making that music. You are awesome.
Welcome.
If you want to see us at Joy Fest USA, there's loads of tickets available. Wouldn't we, Rach?
Yeah, absolutely love it.
And for Patreons, you and Justin are going to meet up with people, aren't you? So that's going to be fun.
Oh yes, yeah. We're going to try and get all our patrons together and just meet you all in one little bundle of joy.
Yeah, it's going to be epic. So let's get everyone back on the screen and mute and say goodbye. And we'll let you know what's going on. It's a bit of a crazy month, so I don't know what we're doing next, but we'll definitely be back in November for the next creative space.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Till next time.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Love you.
Bless you all. Love you.
You're awesome. Bye.
Go
Thank you
create
so
something.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kirby.
God bless you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Honor.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Rebecca.